Let's dive into this situation going on at the box office here. Let's start off with the Variety headline here. Thunderbolts stays at number one, second week in a row with $33 million. A Minecraft movie crosses $400 million at the domestic box office. And we're reading Rebecca Rubin's breakdown of this on Variety. Marvel's Thunderbolts remain number one at the box office, collecting $33.1 million in its second week of release. Ticket sales declined by 55%. Look, for me, anything that doesn't have a 6 or a 7 in front of it for Marvel, that's a good retention. From what I read in other analysis and breakdown of Thunderbolts here in their second weekend, it was the 12th best of the Marvel movies, 12th best second weekend of the Marvel movies. And considering how many movies there have been out from Marvel in the last 17 years, 12th best is not bad. It's not great. It's not top 10, but 12th best is not bad. Ticket sales declined by 55% from its $74 million debut, making a far better hold than recent Marvel adventures that slid significantly in their second weekend, such as February's Captain America Brave New World, which is down 68% in its sophomore outing. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was down 70%. The Marvels was down a whopping 78%. And Thor Love and Thunder was down 67%. So already a lot from the crop of recent Marvel offerings, MCU offerings here, it did better than all of them here that are listed. Thunderbolts started softer than all of those tentpoles, though, except for the Marvels, but solid reviews and positive word of mouth could help the movie stick around on the big screen. After opening weekend, Disney tried to stoke interest in Thunderbolts by unveiling the meaning behind the asterisk in the film's title. The ragtag group at the helm will henceforth be known as, quote, the new Avengers, unquote. The studio also revealed the motley crew of anti-heroes will make an appearance in 2026 Avengers Doomsday. Disney hopes that piece of casting news will inspire audiences to want to get to know the Thunderbolts before next year's epic superhero mashup. So far, Thunderbolts has generated $128.5 million in North America and $272 million globally since the film cost $180 million to produce and approximately $100 million to market. Jesus. Thunderbolts needs to outperform expectations to justify its hefty price. Now, right, what it's at, $272 million globally, 280 is what it was overall, seems to be the amount that that is the baseline here, 280. So we always know it's 2.5. Of course, it all works out. It all depends on the deals they've worked out with the theaters. So probably 4 to 5, probably 500 is where it needs to get to if it wants to start smelling a profit. Disney's CEO Bob Iger, I've heard estimates as high as 600 million, but I don't think it'll get there. Disney CEO Bob Iger praised Thunderbolts earlier this week, calling the offbeat superhero adventure, quote, the first and best example of Marvel's new movie strategy.
You know, a lot of times, especially for my business, I got to find ways to send people cashish. I got to send them cash. And it's so frustrating, some of these programs, whether you get a big fee that they include. It's like, oh, we're going to take, we can send it, but we're going to take 80%. It's like, what? And sometimes you send the money by accident to the wrong person, and you're like, oh, no, how do I get that back? And or sometimes you just try to get the cash, and then it's like, oh, no, there's a processing delay, and they don't really tell you why. Well, not anymore, because Cash App, that's the way to go. Why? Cash App is a safe, it's easy, it's a fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. It's so easy to get started. It's like, you know, I get frustrated with stuff quick. I didn't have to call Brett for this one. I just did it. I just signed up. Money shows up right away. You don't have to wait around for days. It's your money. You don't have to wait for it. And the best part is that they also have your back. It's about sending money. And if you're going to send money and you're going to send it to a sketchy account or a scam, there's a warning that pops up. Do you feel more relaxed knowing that Cash App has your back? You should, because that's how I felt. If you don't have Cash App, I'm going to ask you this question. What the hell is wrong with you? Get it. It's so easy. You can just, next time, by the way, when you're at dinner with somebody, like, I'll get you back next time. You go, nope, we can just split it through Cash App. Don't let them get away with it. Limited time only. New Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real. No catch. You just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code, Christian, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you're going to get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
That's after the MCU had fielded the critical and commercial misfires of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the Marvels, and Captain America Brave New World. Iger said, we've learned over time that quantity does not necessarily beget quality. Well, Iger might be surprised that quantity also does not, low quantity does not necessarily beget quality either. And frankly, we've all admitted to ourselves that we lost a little focus by making too much. That's good news for theater owners because Disney has its third and final Marvel sequel of the year with the Fantastic Four First Steps on July 25th. Of course, the third because Captain America Brave New World was the first one. Meanwhile, a Minecraft movie and Sinners cleared notable box office benchmarks, an indication of each film's remarkable big screen endurance, as Thunderbolts and those holdovers continue to dominate the box office. 3 new releases had to mostly settle for scraps. Yeah, the low-budget horror slasher Clown in a Cornfield managed to crack the top 5 with $3.8 million from 2,277 theaters. It's actually an impressive total for the film, which reportedly cost under $1 million to make. It's the biggest opening weekend to date for IFC, surpassing the Indies' prior record holder, of which was 2024's Late Night with the Devil, which of course starred David Dastmalchian, which powered at $2.8 million to start. As the title suggests, Clown in a Cornfield centers on a mass killer named Frendo, who deposits many of his victims in a quiet town's cornfield. Well, given the gruesome terror that unfolds on screen, it's not surprising that Clown in a Cornfield fielded a rough C+ grade on CinemaScore exit polls. That kind of audience score is common for the genre, said David A. Gross, who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. This is a solid opening for indie horror film, particularly for a micro-budget production like this. The weekend's two other newcomers landed outside of the top 5. Lionsgate's action thriller Shadow Force, which I think stars Kerry Washington, and Vertical Entertainment's airplane caper Fight or Flight, which stars, of course, friend of the show Katie Sackhoff, as well as Josh Hartnett, are battling for the ignominious distinction of 8th place on box office charts. Each film is estimated to open to $2 million from roughly 2,100 theaters, with a final number to be reported on Monday. Yeah, Kerry Washington stars in Shadow Force. That was a $40 million budget. Wow, you thought Shadow Force, starring Kerry Washington, was worth a $40 million budget. That is astounding. I don't know where you come up with that idea. Lionsgate typically covers approximately 2/3 of its production budget with international sales, which helps recoup theatrical losses for underperforming movies. Yeah, I guess. Fight or Flight features Josh Hartnett as a disgraced Secret Service agent who's recruited to identify and protect a wanted criminal. Vertical acquired the film's North American rights for single digits. Shadow Force will quickly move from theaters to streaming to recoup its production. A Fight or Flight, Gross says, this is a soft opening for any action thriller and genre that struggles at the box office. Yeah, I mean, Josh Hartnett is great. It's a good actor, great actor, but he's not someone who's going to put a lot of butts in seats unless another name is attached. Like with Trap, you had M. Night Shyamalan. That was really the attraction for that one. And this one, unfortunately, just not a lot. It shows kind of his box office drawing power in this situation. Sinners in second place, though. Sinners remains strong with $21.1 million in its fourth frame, down just 36% from its prior outing. That's amazing. The vampire thriller continues to enjoy unprecedented holds at the domestic box office. Over the weekend, crossed a major milestone in the $200 million mark. Now ticket sales for the R-rated film stand at $260 million domestically and $68 million. So it's at $283 million globally. A Minecraft movie remained at number 3 with $8 million. I got to say, I finally saw Minecraft. Well, we'll talk about it. So far, the Warner Brothers video game adaptations generate a mighty $409 million in North America and $909 million globally. So I don't know if it's going to cross $1 billion, but it's coming close. It's creeping towards it. And Ben Affleck's action thriller, The Accountant 2, stayed in fourth place with $6.09 million. His third frame declining just 36% from the prior weekend. The Amazon MGM films grossed $58 million domestically and $71 million worldwide. Overall, the box office is down 11% compared to the same weekend in 2024 when Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes touched down with $58 million. And after this weekend, though, domestic revenues are 15.8% ahead of 2024, while still 32.5% behind 2019. So we've got Final Destination Bloodlines coming up this weekend. We've got Lilo Stitch and Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, over the Memorial Day holiday. And I'm going to be seeing Mission Impossible tonight, and hopefully I will have a blast seeing that movie. We will see as things go along. But yes, that's the situation there. So I think it's a good number for Thunderbolts. It's not a great number, but you were hoping for a better number, I'm sure. I'm sure that's the reason they made the change to New Avengers. But I got to say, just from my own gut feeling looking at this, I don't think the name change made one bit of difference to the box office. Of course, you all are feel free to feel otherwise, but I don't think it made a difference at all because it was word of mouth that was always going to carry the day with a movie like this. And I think the word of mouth was really strong. the reviews were really strong, and so it's no surprise that it held on to what 55% of its. It only went down 55% from its gross from last week. So it is it is a bunch of relatively unknown characters to people who haven't watched all the TV shows. Yes, you've got Florence Pugh from Black Widow with Yelena. You've got Sebastian Stan obviously as Bucky, but you do have David Harbour, I know, as Red Guardian from Black Widow as well. But that movie was really about Scarlett and Florence's relationship, and Rachel and David Harbour certainly were elements of the film, but they're not going to be too big of a box office draw at this point. John Walker from the Captain America Winter Soldier, Hannah John Kamen from Ghost, but life was really about the Ant-Man and Giant and everybody else involved, and Wasp and all of that. So not too big. And then you're introducing Lewis Pullman, who's getting a lot of love for his work in Sentry. So it was never going to be this massive blockbuster, right? It just didn't have the quite the elements yet, because Florence Pugh is certainly a well-respected, well-beloved actress, and certainly going to win a lot of awards in her career, or get nominated for a bunch of awards as well for her career. But not yet someone who's proven to be a massive box office draw. So that being said, I think Marvel's probably happy with how the film was performing, considering they probably thought it might take a huge bath or a huge wash in this. So, you got to feel good about that if you're Marvel this morning, and you're hoping that, word of mouth and people going to see it repeatedly keeps it in theaters and keeps it in a good place overall. But I mean, the other part of this is Sinners, man. I mean, this is pretty amazing. 21.1 million in its fourth frame. I don't think anybody expected that. And I know it's $283 million worldwide. I think it still needs to hit around 400 to really turn a healthy, sizable profit for the film. But that being said, it is a pop culture milestone of a movie. A lot of people are talking about the movie. A lot of people enjoy the film. That's why the film is doing as well as it still is in its fourth weekend, because of repeat viewing and people enjoying the film and talking about it more. That being said, I mean, I think that film should be at 500 million by the time it's done its run, but I can't imagine that it will, although I'm hoping that it does, but we will see. But that's pretty impressive. And then Minecraft movie, which I finally got a chance to see just a few days ago. I gotta tell you, I was going into this thing thinking it was going to be terrible. I gotta say, yes, there are some cringe-worthy moments, but I found myself enjoying the film much more than I thought I would. And I'm not the biggest Jack Black fan, and I think Momoa is a good actor, not a great actor. But I do love Danielle Brooks. But there's just something about, for me personally, Jared Hess and Jack Black, for whatever reason, when they get together, that combo works for me. As I said, I'm not the biggest Jack Black fan. I'm not a School of Rock person. I'm not, not a holiday person or anything like that. But I loved Nacho Libre. It, for whatever reason, that humor, that style of humor, with how I'm built, works for me. And so watching Jack Black, he was fantastic in Minecraft. Like, it was so smart to have him start the movie, because Jack is in that energy, just like he was in Mario Brothers with that voiceover work he did. There's just something about his energy that's interesting and attractive and fun, and you feel like you're in a good place. And he's come into this kind of warmer approach to his roles as he's gotten older, Jumanji, other stuff like that. And it's fun to see him. So I got to say, I enjoyed it. I thought Momoa did a good job for the character he was playing. I thought he was going to be completely miscast, and I felt that way from the trailers. But as I was watching the movie, I think Momoa captured that sad sack, I peaked at high school type of character and energy that worked for the film overall. So I'm not saying it's some amazing masterpiece or anything like that, but it was much better than I was anticipating. It was certainly sweeter than I thought it was going to be, and it worked for me for the most part. So no one's more surprised than me that a Minecraft movie was an enjoyable watch for me, and a brisk, 100 minutes of a movie, which I thought was great. The Accountant 2 I saw last weekend, and so great to see it doing so well overall compared to its budget and what have you. So I really enjoyed that film as well. But I want to hear from you guys. You guys get a chance to watch any of this stuff over the weekend? What do you think about the Thunderbolts situation? What do you think about the box office? Is cheering on a film that only dropped 55%, is that not really what we should be doing? Or do we think, because of all the factors surrounding the Thunderbolts release and the possibility that it could have been an absolute box office flop, that the fact that it's hanging on and still doing well in its second weekend, relatively well in its second weekend, does that speak volumes that this is a film that could stick around, even with healthier and meatier competition coming with Mission Impossible Lilo and Stitch and Final Destination and other movies before we get to Fantastic Four. Does it have a shot to get to that 500 million? Does it have a shot to get to 400 million? What do you guys think overall about the movie? Because already I think it's almost at Sinners numbers at 283 million with what Sinners is doing, and Sinners in its fourth weekend, a 2-week head start. So do we think Thunderbolts is going to get there? It's a curious question. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below, or let me know in the chat, or send in a question, thought, or comment here on the super chats to let me know what you think about it, because I think we should be positive overall about that response there. And what do you think about Sinners holding on as strongly as it's holding on? And what do you think about a Minecraft movie doing as well as it is? Do you think it has a shot? It's $91 million away. Do you think there's still enough of a chance that this film gets to $1 billion before its run is over? What do you think about all of that? I want to hear about it. And did any of you see Clown in the Cornfield or Fight or Flight? Maybe some of you are massive fans of Katie Sackhoff or Josh Hartnett and wanted to see it. Maybe you guys like the indie horror stuff that, like Terrifier and other films that have come on and become sensations. Did you guys like it? Was it worth it? Let me know there in the chat, or send in your question, thought, or comment. I want to hear about it. Send in a super chat to let me know what you think about all of this stuff.